It's no small feat making a horror game co-op. Anytime you add another player, it has a profound effect on how impactful most of the game is. A quick search of co-op horror games gives a pretty sizable list with some big games in it, with titles like Left 4 Dead, Dead Island, Dying Light, and Resident Evil dominating all of them. And not a single one of those titles felt like a horror game in co-op. So what's going on? For a long time, one of the biggest unsolved problems in gaming was how to make a horror experience multiplayer, because adding another idiot into the mix deflated all of the tension in most cases, because it was just adding another layer of safety. Even if you died or were overwhelmed, you weren't really losing progress because a more skilled player could push through and salvage the mistake. Whereas in single player, that run ended there, and the tension leading up to that death actually meant something, instead of just tension to avoid time spent being unable to play the game. This is one of the many ways Phasmophobia excels in delivering a horror experience in a co-op setting. As much love as people are giving Phas, I think many people may not realize just how expertly each part of the game is put together. With the new update and a doubling down of these principles, I felt it was an excellent time to talk about the mechanics that make up Phasmophobia and just how big-brained it all is. But before we dive into the actual mechanics, I do want to preface that this is talking about an early access build of the game. I understand it is not complete and all subject to change. That being said, the mechanics and principles on display even at this early point offer such a unique and strong emotional experience. Waiting until release to talk about it would do a huge disservice to all the work that has been poured into this incredible project. So let's get started, and where else would we go but to the menu and the lobby? I talked about this in my video on Satisfactory, but putting the menu in the world does a lot to subconsciously get your mind seeing the game world as another location it needs to keep track of. The fact that leaving the menu does not alter where it is or how it looks on the wall makes sure that you notice this, even if you don't understand why it's important. In this room, there are also a few interactables and a basketball hoop. I think for some people out there like me, there's something comfortable about basketballs and hoops that make you just want to try it out. This is genius, as playing with these balls and various other movable objects creates a feeling of tangibility to this world before the game has even begun. Your mind is beginning to understand that the rules of this world follow similar rules to our own. Even if you aren't aware of any of this, your mind is taking stock of what is happening subconsciously. Moving on, you are now in the truck ready to start the mission. The truck is completely cut off from the world at this point with no way to leave or see what it is connected to. You can pick up and play with the tools around you, laying out in the game world and not tucked away in some menu. It can feel overwhelming, but very much invokes a feeling of looking at a tool bench. I know that sounds odd to say, but having a familiar moment with something like this is a great way to build further immersion. Not a single one of the things we talk about would have nearly the power it does without every other piece building on the things that came before. Opening the van starts the mission, which is done through a panel near the door. Both the garage lobby and this area in the van have a distinct safe feel to them. They are both well lit compared to most of the game, and there are no threats in these areas. There is little ambience, just the sound of you and your friends. As you leave the van, there is some slight ambience you will begin to hear. While not hugely different, this sound simulates what your mind expects on leaving a room like this.
The spare box is one of them, by the way. I got a response.
Then you and your team get to the door and realize it's locked. Of course it is. This is someone's property. It's not going to be just left open. This further reinforces the realistic nature of the locations you are going to visit. Subconsciously, your brain has expectations for the rules of a world. The more of these rules that are validated, the more your brain begins to assume about the world around it. I know I'm talking a lot about these little, minute details, but they set the groundwork for everything else that comes after. They are the gentle slope for your brain to get immersed before the roller coaster that is gameplay. Before we get into the actual meat and potatoes, however, I want to talk about a concept at work here. When you, as a player, interact with the game, there is always some degree of separation. You are physically looking at a monitor, using a mouse and keyboard, and interacting through that interface. And while VR doesn't use a mouse and keyboard, the hand controllers you use are still a layer of separation between you and the game. One of the main reasons text chats make it so easy to disconnect the human from the username is because there's a degree of separation in the interaction. With voice chat, and more specifically proximity chat, there is no degree of separation. When you talk to another person, it is you speaking, not a game displaying what you told it to. So what am I on about? Speech recognition is used to brilliant effects in terms of how we as players can interact with the game. While much of the game still has this degree of separation, we can directly interact with the ghost itself, and the ghost can directly interact with the players. I think this is the biggest point why the ghost feels so terrifying when they whisper directly to you. The ghost isn't interacting with you through the game, they are directly interacting with you as the player. I think another piece of this puzzle that really adds to the fear is there is no way to really win. All you can do is just find out what the ghost is. This place belongs to the ghost. You are just visiting. And not only that, but your friends can't save you. Every person is responsible for their own safety and sanity, with no added safety net because of the multiple people around you. So, despite your numbers, for safety's sake, you are still alone and a single mistake could cost you your life. So while these two things aren't at the forefront of your mind, they are pillars as to how the game works. As you walk into the building, you will notice a huge change in ambience. This ambience is much closer to white noise as it lacks any real function in the game itself. In terms of what that means for you as a player, it makes your mind listen in much closer than it would normally, as it has to differentiate this white noise from actual noises happening. During this, it also has to separate sounds caused by other players. This is such a clever use of the multiplayer mechanic, as a perceptive player will notice when a sound happens that isn't attached to anyone. It's harder to notice in the 4-player lobbies, but when 2 players are in a room working together and the door the next room over closes, you get that unsettling feeling. That feeling where your brain knows that shouldn't have happened, even if you logically know this is a game and the ghost most likely did it. And if that isn't a powerful feeling, a huge part of that feeling happening in the first place comes from how adept proximity chat is at pulling you into the world. Having to listen and talk over this ambient audio in such a way makes your mind place the people you are talking to into the virtual world. Without this sense of existence in the world, there will never be that who is making that noise moment that can often be missed in the shuffle of running around. Combine that with the white noise you already have to listen into, and it's easy to see how your mind can be quickly tricked into viewing these noises as real and in the world of the game. As you prod and poke at the ghost with various tools, you find yourself getting immersed without even thinking about it. Then, suddenly and without warning, everything changes.
How old are you?
Oh, that didn't.
Will you show me a sign?
Will you write in the book? Can you tell me why you're angry?
What's that for? Linda Martin, show me a sign. Where are you?
Oh, listen, Linda. We need to get this shit taken care of. These nice people just want to be left
Oh, hey,
alone.
she blew out the candle. She blew out the candle.
Oh, neat. Well, that's not a thing, is it?
I'm coming back with a
No.
candle.
Just
Linda Martin.
Ghost.
Oh,
Ghost orb.
ghost orb.
Will you write in the book for me? Are you here with us?
Oh my god!
Oh shit.
Run, Mike. Mike. Shut
I
the door
have
behind us.
stamina.
Shut. Get in a room, get in a room, get in a room, get in a room, get in a room.
Oh, we're just hiding in the corner. Oh god.
He's sprinting. Holy shit, that was scary.
Wow. There is so much to drool over with the way the hunt mechanic works now in regards to how the devices nearby react. A hunting ghost immediately affecting everything in the area makes the start of a hunt dotted with a huge exclamation point, and one that you can't even communicate to the rest of your team. On larger maps, 2 of us were walking around and went to radio the rest of our team to find out where they were when we realized she was hunting due to the static. We quickly hid, and not but a few seconds later, the ghost just went by us singing. Oh yeah, they do that now too. The creep factor is off the charts, especially if you didn't know what it was until you started listening in. This little bit of tension, added to any given moment, adds a new dynamic to the larger maps that was seriously lacking before. The fact that this event stands so strongly in my mind speaks volumes for what such a small change can do to how it feels to play the game. And you get to share all of this with your friends. Despite the co-op designation, there is very little you can do to help one another. All devices are usable by anyone, and no one can help you once you get attacked by a ghost. They cannot revive you, nor can they interact with you once you have died. you move on to a spirit realm, where you can hear and see them, but can't communicate to anyone who's alive. And it's this separation that each player feels from their co-op partners that I think really seals how the horror element still holds up in a co-op environment. Because for all intents and purposes, no one can save you from yourself. And that's the true horror of the human condition. You all exist for a mission and work together, but no part of the game expects you to or even encourages it. There are times when the game even wants you to only interact with the ghost when you are alone. Each person has to put the clues in their journal, and you can guess whatever your heart desires, which only solidifies that it is about you as an individual surviving this multiplayer experience. The journal is also incredibly smart. While there are objectives that will complete on their own, the main clues and the identity of the ghost are entirely up to you to notice. Not only do you have to manually lock in your choice and the clues you believe you found, but this simple interface existing as a physical journal ties even more of the game's mechanics into the world. It may seem subtle, but anytime interface gets between the player and the game, you lose out on immersion. Pulling a journal out, seeing your pictures displayed and various clues you've already put in is very much a natural way for us to approach a situation. We don't have some sort of cyberpunk interface displaying our objectives, they're listed in the journal. Even the autocomplete ones are shown on a whiteboard in the van. Having all this information displayed out in the van rather than in some menu or on your HUD also builds the sense of safety that such a room offers. While inside, all of this info is unknown to you as a player unless one of your team is on the radio from the truck. This fosters further communication between the players themselves. I love how natural it feels to talk normally and then also use the radio. When communication is effortless, fun, and most importantly useful, a multiplayer game like Phasmophobia really shines. Gaming has no doubt brought myself and my friends closer to one another. Some of the experiences we have shared across the years couldn't be replicated in many other ways. I think this type of feeling is why multiplayer survival games have always been so popular and desired. We like sharing experiences with our friends and seeing what they're made of. With both Phasmophobia and New World, I have found these shared immersive experiences have given a more grounded, real feeling to the interactions between myself and my friends. When I think of what the future of gaming holds, I look at games like Phasmophobia. I think these sort of social, immersive experiences will be at the core of gaming for years to come in so many different ways. The gaming industry has tried and tried and tried to make these compelling and engaging experiences for us as a player, while simultaneously being tone deaf to how people desire to play a game. Flashy UIs, slot machine-like sound effects, top-notch graphics. These things are all just vanity and manipulation without a solid core and, most importantly and yet often forgotten, the game must also be fun. And while fun is subjective to most people, any experience you can share with your friends instantly becomes far more enjoyable. For a lot of games, this is where it ends. Fun plus friends equals more fun. It isn't that simple though, and Phasmophobia understands this well, with the best show of this being the limited inventory. You can carry 3 items at a time, with one of those probably being a flashlight. This forces you to talk to your group and make sure that you aren't bringing in 4 of the same thing. You can't see anyone else's inventory, so this sort of forced interaction is hardly even thought about by some people, but absolutely adds to the authenticity of the experience. Wrapping these core mechanics around the social proximity chat aspect of the game further reinforces the solidity of the world and that all the players exist in it. All of this is done in such an effortless way, so early in development, that it's hard not to give it so much praise. I have no doubt that once in a release state, Phasmophobia will be one of the best gaming experiences you can have. Honestly, I think it already is, with how much of a modern gaming experience it offers to its players. All of this without even mentioning the absurdly cheap price tag, or the fact that VR is included in said price. Certain games invoke a feeling of wonder, and for me, that's when I know I'm experiencing something that will stick with me in terms of a gaming experience. And with this last update, I have found myself floored by just what this game can do already. The new maps both have strengths that play off some of the points I was speaking about before, and are designed with a new hunt system in mind. The truly organic experience that Phasmophobia offers is one that I want to spread to anyone who will try it, as I think this is explicitly what gaming is all about. Before I end this, I want to show one of the cool interactions that happened with the new patch when we were getting footage for this video. If the teams keep adding amazing ideas like the ghost singing, I'll be playing and watching this game for years to come. Check out this insanity. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. I'm your friend, you can answer me. Who are you? You bitch. Fuck.
Oh shit! She didn't like that.
I'm so sorry.
Everyone okay in there?
Words are good.
Mike called her a bitch and she came out for him.
She started singing and then just fucking whispered in our ears.